But he does this, and after a time, he's done, and Richard feels like he's waking up from a nap, even though it couldn't have been more than a few minutes, but then again, it really doesn't say.
Yeah. Could have been 2 minutes, could have been 2 hours.
Yeah. And the gashes on his back still hurt, so they weren't, like, fully healed. But he's like, okay, it's better than it was. I'm not going to die.
Right.
He's at least stable at this point. So they can travel. So he thanks the cat one more time, and then he grabs his pack and he gets ready to go. But why wouldn't you thank Zed?
Right.
Like, hey, dude, you just kind of put me back together. Now, the cat, badass, okay? Deserves a medal. It's a ninja. That cat is a goddamn hero. But Zed just, like, healed your body with magic from what was probably a lethal wound.
And these times, you puncture a lung, you're pretty fucked.
Yeah, if any, you can get a scratch in these times and you're done for.
Yeah.
Broken arm, well, cut it off. Well, now it's open wound. He's probably going to die.
Yeah.
That's about it. People live to the ripe old age of 30.
Yeah.
I feel like. He just dodged a pretty big bullet.
Well, and I also thought it was funny because he hid the tooth from them. And again, this goes back to what we were talking about in the last chapter. If the tooth is your proof, then why do you need to hide it? Because you're not going to be, like, asking people to show you the tooth. Like, this whole thing is weird. It doesn't make sense. He should be able to wear it on the outside of his necklace. Or on the outside and be like, you recognize it? No? Then shut up.
Yeah, I never really understood that either. He'd be like, hey, it's just a cool tooth that my dad got me. And now my dad's dead, so I wear the tooth.
Yeah.
He also makes a comment here about how he'd rather not get into a rock-throwing fight with Kaylin, which I thought was kind of funny. Like, hey, you helped, kind of.
You did good.
But Richard, because he is a woods guide, he leads them over some paths, and they finally come to a house with a big, heavy door and a spiked fence that Zed and Kaylin won't climb, which to me kind of screams, stay the fuck out.
Right. I was like, he's the damaged one here, and he's climbing the fence because the other two are like, mm-mm.
When they be like, hey, man, maybe we should just, like, holler? Or maybe you should just not.
We could, like, wait till morning.
Right. So Richard is just about to knock when a knife gets put to his throat. And he's like, Chase? And he's lucky as fuck that it is. Chase is like, hey, man, you know better than to sneak up to my house. And Richard's like, I wasn't sneaking. But he totally fucking was, though.
Yeah. Yeah, the fuck you were. It's the middle of the night, and you were literally said, I didn't want to wake the house. That's like the definition of sneaking.
You're being weird.
Yeah. Don't be creeping around.
Another thing that this showed me was that Chase totally sneaks up on Richard while Richard is sneaking up to the house, which is kind of a tip of the hat to an earlier chapter that Chase said his men, if they wanted to, they could hide on your foot and you'd never know it. And apparently Chase can too.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to sneak up on somebody who's sneaking. I mean, I couldn't do it, but that's probably not saying a lot because I'm pretty clumsy. You know where I'm really good at sneaking to, though?
Where's that, JV?
To the fridge.
Of course you are.
You ready for a beer break?
I think that I am.
Awesome.
All right, so this week we are drinking Blood Orange Honey from Sheboygan Brewing Company. An American wheat beer mixed with sweet honey and blood orange zest and puree creates a smooth, citrusy blend. Absolutely pure and well brewed. And you know what? I really, really like this beer. It's not overly fruity and it's not overly sweet, which I know is kind of funny to say about something called Blood Orange Honey, but it's fucking delicious. And in fact, fun little bit of trivia, while Jade and I were in Arizona, we went to a brewing company, and I had my first craft beer ever, and it was a blood orange beer. And I believe it was from Tooth and Nail. That could also maybe be just the name of the beer. I'm not sure. But that was what got us kind of trying more craft beers. And so I kind of have a soft spot in my liver for some blood orange honey beer.
Actually, I've been trying to figure out what beer that was since we went to Arizona, because it was from Michigan and it was something like Tooth and Nail, blood orange, something. I've looked and looked and looked. So if anybody has any idea what we might be talking about, please let us know, because I just want to know. Honestly, I just want to know what it was.
Well, I want to try it again.
Yeah,
if I can
also
get
that.
my hands on it.
Yeah, also that.
That would be really, really cool. But yeah, so we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back. And just like we're back, Chase leads the group back to his house.
Because he walked out there barefoot, which means that he probably leapt out his window to, like, go chase Richard down. But he's walking over, like, acorns and pine needles and shit to go let these people in barefoot.
Yeah, he didn't even have time to put his boots on. Which, yeah, you're right. It means he probably noticed that somebody was outside, got outside of his house, and crept all the way up to them without somebody like Richard catching on to the fact that he was being snuck up on.
Well, and also, there is no goddamn way that I'm going to walk out to go let somebody in my gate with no shoes on. I'd be like, all right, Richard, you climbed my fucking fence and trespassed. Either you can walk your ass down there and let your friends in my gate, or they can wait till I put my boots on. Because I'm only out here without my boots on, because I was going to cut your fucking throat. So, I'm going to put my boots on, because I don't want no needles in my foot.
No, that would not be very pleasant. But who is pleasant is Chase's wife.
Oh, yeah.
Who is apparently very, very accommodating to bloody strangers in the middle of the night.
Like it happens all the time or something.
Yeah, totally cool with it. And a little look around Chase's house kind of reveals some special details. The book says that Chase built the house himself, and he carved his kids' names into one of the beams that goes across the ceiling of the house. So not only is he a good soldier and a pretty effective ninja, he's also a handyman and a husband and a father.
Yeah, and obviously a loving father. Like, you can have a lot of kids and you can work real hard in your house, but you don't have to, like, carve their names into, like, he obviously cares about his family a lot.
Oh, yeah. He is a family man.
Emma makes Richard take his shirt off so she can clean his wounds, and she's scrubbing at him real good because she's got to get him clean. And Richard just cannot wait to get his shirt back on, so she will leave him alone. And he's patched up at this point.
So after she's done fucking with Richard and making sure that his wounds have been seen to, she starts to love on Chase, and he gets super uneasy about it. Chase is obviously not a PDA kind of guy. I kind of picture him like Al Bundy a little bit here, like, oh, Peg. But really, it's kind of more of a nervous thing, which this guy can deal with bodies and magical boundaries. His buddy Richard earlier in this book was like, hey, we totally murdered 3 guys. Didn't faze him in the least.
Yeah.
His wife gives him some loving, though, in front of them. And he's like, oh, knock it off. Not in front of the guys. They're going to think I'm soft. And something else that proves that he is soft is when his daughter comes out and Chase is like, you have got to be the ugliest child that I have ever seen. And right when you think he's totally a dick to his kids, she laughs because she knows that he's just fucking with her and then runs up and gives him a hug.
Yeah, and it shows that he's always playing and loving on his kids. So even if it's something he's not doing in front of the guys, it's something he does do. He shows love, just not in the way you would expect, which gives a lot of depth to a character that we've only talked to for like a hot minute.
And he's also a guy who can go out and do a pretty grisly job and then come back and be happy with his family and not bring all that home with him.
So far, I'm really digging Chase. Also, when Zed randomly is like, hey, kid, you want my cat? Chase isn't like, what the fuck, Zed? Don't give animals to my kid without asking me first. He just is like, okay.
Well, in between Chase and this cat, that's the safest kid in the goddamn world.
Right.
If Chase ever were to miss a bad guy sneaking in, which I really doubt would ever happen, this cat's totally going to pick up the slack.
Also, I want to say, I've probably mentioned once or twice that it's been a while since I read the series. And as I was reading, I couldn't remember what happened to the cat. So I was getting really worried that the cat was going to die. Once Cat was given to I was like, oh yeah, cat's okay.
It's just funny to me that he chose to give away the cat after the cat has totally pulled its own weight, and after he decides to put it in Richard's pack to come along with them for the journey. Like, obviously, you don't just abandon your pet. That's a pretty through line, I feel. But he took it along, I'm assuming, to keep with them through the whole journey. They make it like 100 feet to the east, and he's like, all right, no, you're not coming with anymore. You can stay with this little girl.
Better not. And it makes you wonder, did he take the cat because he intended the cat to stay with them because it's his companion? Or did he take the cat because he knew something was coming to the house eventually and he wanted to keep it safe? Or did the Gar attack freak him out? Like, cat did good, cat got lucky. Because it's a big fucking cat and he's a badass, but that's a fucking Gar.
So maybe he's thinking, hey, if I choose to go off and do this super crazy thing, I'm choosing to possibly die, but I'm not going to risk my cat. Cat's not choosing this.
Right.
Cat's just choosing to stay with me because, like, I feed
it. Right. And there's no way that the cat is going to make it through everything that they have to be up against eventually. Eventually, if it stays with him, it's going to die. So he has to give it to the little girl, which makes this moment that is very fun and, like, whatever, a lot more sad.
Yeah, but he's doing a good thing for the cat. And they do have a lot of places to go.
Right.
Speaking of going places, Richard asks about getting some more clothes for Kaylin. So far, all she has is the white dress. Even though I believe she says that she travels in this dress, they don't want her to be recognized.
Right, bright white. That's how he noticed her in the first place.
Right, exactly. She sticks out a little bit. So they want to get her some other, more common traveling clothes so they can kind of go under the radar, so to speak.
And Emma's like, her shoulders are too broad. And at first I was like, oh, bitch. And then she goes on to say her legs are too long, too. So I'm like, okay. So it might have been a little bit of a backwards compliment to start, but, like, you know.
They're sizing each other up.
Yeah. Everyone said she was nice. I don't know if she's as nice as everyone thinks she is. Kaylin probably doesn't think she's that nice.
Right.
So Richard shows Chase a sword, and he's like, you've seen it before. And at this point, he asks how Zed is involved.
Yeah, I like the way that they revealed this, because they didn't out and out say it at first. They're like, oh, you have the sword of truth. And Richard says, yeah, the great wizard gave me the sword. And then Chase turns to Zed and is like, so what's your part in all this? He's like, I gave him the sword. It was kind of odd because Zed has been in hiding all this time. Why is he suddenly okay now with like, oh yeah, I'm a wizard. Hey everybody, I'm a wizard. Just so you know. Sorry.
and maybe it's just because he's going to be traveling with the Seeker, so he's like, what now, bitch? But also, it was a little confusing to me because they were like, yeah, Chase, you've seen this sword before. Immediately, Chase knows that a true Seeker has been named. And I don't know if it's because he's from the Midlands, but I don't know how you would automatically assume he's seen the sword before. Like, it was kind of just a strange moment. Maybe I'm missing something from, like, the very first chapter.
Could it be that when Zed went to get the sword, he had to pass Chase when he was going through the boundary? So, like, maybe Chase knew that he was the wizard already? And he was just kind of playing off the fact that maybe he didn't know? But that's where he saw the sword before. Like, why do you have to get across there? And Zed would be like, check it out, dude. I have this magic sword.
Check out my badass shit. I got it from over there. You need a cheeseburger or something? But at this point, Chase asks Richard if he understands what a boundary warden is. And Richard is like, well, yeah, you keep people from the boundary. And he's like, no. I mean, kind of. But if people are stupid enough to go in the boundary, they're gone. We hunt the rabbits so that in the end you have fewer wolves. If you limit the food supply, less wolves are born. The wardens make people scared in order to keep people away from the boundary so that the things inside stay inside of it.
Yeah, so they're not tempted to come out.
Right. And the wardens don't work for Michael or the townspeople, really. They consider themselves a whole, separate, sovereign unit.